welcome back to this week's episode on the Foxhound. Right, so what started this whole process in the revamp of the aircraft was the instrument panel. Initially, it put me off the aeroplane when I first saw it. I don't know how to explain the original instrument panel besides shocking. I don't even know what they were thinking. It was pretty bad. My wife was like, oh, well, why don't you use the instrument panel and the fact that you want to redo it as a point of offering them less for the aircraft and seeing what will happen. One thing led to another, and that's sort of how we ended up with the airplane. We got it home, and it was like the first thing we did was literally push the thing into the garage, made sure it fitted. Out came screwdrivers, Allen keys, whatever was needed, and we whipped out that hideous panel. I already had the intention of redoing it. I already had an idea in my mind of how I wanted it to look. I just needed to get it out and have a look what was behind it and what condition the wiring was in. I had no intention of redoing any of the wiring. We just were going to refit a panel, put the panel back in the aircraft, connect it all up, and be done with it. Pulled out the panel. Behind the panel, the wiring was not up to a aviation standard, as far as I was concerned, and that led to me starting to pull out some of the wiring. I decided I wasn't going to pull out all the wiring. I was just going to pull out the stuff, the radio loom, and some of the switch looms weren't great, and that was it really. And then I was like, well, I need to add a circuit breaker panel because I didn't have a circuit breaker panel. Had fuses in a box behind the firewall, which is just crazy. If any of those go in flight, you're kind of buggered. You've got to land before you can check it. We pulled out some of the wiring, left a couple of wires behind that we were going to reuse. Thought that was pretty much hunky-dory, and off we went into doing the panel. A couple of weeks later, backwards and forwards, came to sort of start running wires again. Couldn't quite figure out what the remaining wires were about. Just thought, you know what, bugger it. Actually, let's just start from scratch. If I've got to figure out where these wires go, I may as well be running new wires. So the entire loom got chucked, and we started from scratch and rewired the entire aircraft, refitted a whole new instrument panel, and that's where we are today. Let's get into the new panel, where we started and where we are now. this came back from screen printing. So this is the fuse panel. So if you check, see we've got all the printed names on for all the different fuses, or circuit breakers in this case. So that was pretty cool. Stoked to get that back. Bonus on the day was circuit breakers arrived. These came from Arizona, so I ordered them on eBay. It was 3 days from Mesa in Arizona to Springfield Gardens in New York, and then 3 days here. So literally in a week I got these sent over. And the crazy thing was, these breakers, I bought 8 breakers and I paid for courier shipping across the world for the price of one of these breakers locally. Go and buy one of these breakers would have cost me the same price. So the 2 amp breakers go into the APO1 and APO2 slots, which is auxiliary power outlet. So APO2 goes to camera and gimbal in the rear of the aircraft. APO1 goes to the USB charger connector port in the instrument panel. So the instrument panel theoretically should be back tomorrow. Theoretically. Okay, make sure that's nice and straight. I want to see that's the only problem with these bloody things. Let's try and do it without damaging anything. Right, there we go. That's APO1. That's APO2. Sorry, other way around. APO2 is the bottom one. Right, nav lights are 1 amp, which not working. Instrument lights are 1 amp, so we'll put the instrument light ones in because we don't have nav lights fitted at the moment. So I'll just put it as a, as an option. I'll get around to putting nav lights on one of these days, when I can figure out how to get it into my wings. Then we'll put the nav lights in, and then we'll connect that one up. But in the interim, let's get this instrument light breaker installed. Right then, 5 amp for landing lights, 5 amp for fuel pump, 5 amp for radio, 3 amp for EFIS, 3 amp for transponder. Let's go. Populated panel, man. Let's do some wiring quick. There it is. All the loop wires installed. Well, when I say all, minus these ones. These have got to be connected to switches. So we'll put another eye on there with the cable to the switch that's already in the aircraft. But yeah, there it is. Okay, so we need to figure out the wiring. It's been a while since I've done this, and I've actually, to be brutally honest, forgotten what I'm doing. So that's 9 and 10. 9 and 10 on this is meant to be power. Okay, so let's see what that buzzes out to. Okay, so theoretically, should go to one of these. There it is. Okay, so 9 and 10 goes to that. Okay, so that's this guy wire here must be ground. Okay, so let's have a look. Strip it back quick. So that, if we go to 9, 10, 11, 12, so if we go there, 11 and 12, that should buzz to there. Yeah, perfect. winner. You can sort of see how close those connectors are. Look there. If you look at those two there, I mean, you can get a screwdriver between it, but not very far. So I realised that, so I'm like, oh damn, I've got to make a plan to stop that from shorting out. So anyway, we're just going to stick some heat shrink over them, and that should solve that idea. Pulse that long, but anyway, it'll do. Hobbs meter and the battery meter that lives in there. Okay, so that's landing lights, and this is lighting, ones that are pulled. So you take that one off, replace it with that, as well as add 2 more wires to it. So we add that wire and this wire, like that. See, so it's got a little bit of like a half moon effect to it. You can't really see that so well, what's the effect? And then we can get it further down the actual cable onto this breaker. So I'm going to do these 2 quick. Oh, that looks pretty cool. Okay, so those 2 are done. That's in place, so we can put the fuel gauge in there, you can put the landing light booklet away, we can put the Hobbs meter booklet away. And get all these boxes. I think that's it. I think that's it for the nuts. Let's call it what it is and give it a break. So look what we got today. All the way from Canada. Ordered this on eBay. Something that my airplane doesn't have. I picked this up for like 30 odd Canadian dollars. Came out of a Papa Cherokee, I believe. Ta-da! Compass. I think the globe for the compass lights is a bit dodge. I think it's actually broken. But anyway, it's fine, I'll get another globe. But yeah, it's in fairly good condition. I mean, there's those little seals around the edge of the windows here that have moved around a bit. I don't think it's really that much of a big deal. Maybe I can just undo this faceplate, replace, put the seals back in properly, screw it all back on, and it will look like funky new. I will probably take this bracket off. It's not in the greatest condition, and make up a new one, and then just make it up a nice neat little one, get it powder coated the same as the instrument panel. Let's go and fiddle around a bit, check how it fits, and then we'll take it from there. I'm thinking we're going to lower that right down to the bottom of the bend, so basically that edge sits flush on the top of the instrument panel, and then we're going to chop off that correction chart. We can stick that sticker like over here, compass correction or whatever, on the top in the instrument panel. We've got plenty of blank space there. The instrument panel's coming along nicely. We just we stripped the fuse panel to loose fuses, just made it easier to work with. ACF 50. This is some real cool corrosion inhibitor. It, as it says, kills corrosion on contact. It is the bomb. I put it on all my switches, any electrical plug contact. I mean, I've used this to fix corroded plugs where they don't work anymore. Bad contact, whatever. Pull the plug apart, put a bit of this on, put the plug back together, pull it apart, put a bit more on, put it back together, and no jokes, it works like a bomb. So, just as a simple precautionary measure, while I'm connecting everything up here now, every connector gets a blob of this on, stuck on, and off you go. The moment of truth, we're just going to take a few switches and see what happens. That should light up. Get a voltage reading over there, and we should get a meter over here. That, which you can't really see, that should light up. This should light up and sweep. And that's about it, because the radio is not plugged in, the EFIS is not plugged in. One step at a time. Right, let's try a little bit of power here. Aha! Look at that, and that's lit up. So we put the radio stack in quick. Let's give that a bash. Let's just check that out. Okay, so master up. Fuel gauge is up, meters are up, and we have a live radio. Yeah, we're winning. We'll be in the air soon. Well, hanging on by a thread there. And of course now I can't find the Allen keys, can I? No, what have I done with the Allen key? Anyway. Allen keys are not the easiest things to finger tighten. Last thing to do, get the SCADAT EFIS in place and just check if that works. Right, master switch on, Avionics on, power. There we go. That's too cool. Well, turns out I'm going to take all these seats out again. The primary reason is we need to run the landing light wires through under the seating and out the back here. But other than that, I lost 2 screws down the side, underneath here somewhere. So I guess they all come out again. Heat shrink, this stuff is cool. Put it on everything, all bends, corners, abrasive surface areas. Can't go wrong. Another point, while I'm in here and I've got this open, I may as well strip the audio plug again and add the camera audio line in. Okay, so that's our headset plug, and then these 2 cables here into this little bugger here, and all the way along to GoPro plug, so that we've got some audio in our cameras while we're flying. So we've got left and right ignition, engine starter button, we've got a mini EFIS here, with its basic instruments information, engine information, and a few instruments like an altimeter and a VSI and an ASI. Turn and slip, we're missing the low fuel indicator LED and the test button. Those are still being fitted. We've got a removable radio stack with our Micro Air 760 VHF radio and a transponder slot. So the transponder has not been fitted yet. We're still busy eBay shopping for one of those at a reasonable price. We moved all of our switch gear up here. So from the left, master, fuel pump, nav lights, landing lights, instrument lights, and then the avionics switch. So originally those were here. We had a master switch here, an avionics switch over here, a left and right mag over here, fuel pump underneath. It was a bit of a mess. And then on the right hand side we've got a steam gauge ASI, a steam gauge altimeter. We added the fuel gauge, and we added a Hobbs meter and battery indicator. And then of course we added the fuse panel, and then right over here on the far right side, USB. Okay, so we've got breaker panel there, all within reach. What is this? A master on. That's pretty cool. Instrument lights on. Avionics. Radio's up. Instrument lights, backlights, illumination. Okay, except for the fact that that does not de-illuminate when you do that. That's cool. Okay, I want to just check that.